1,000 subscribers. Oh my god, it's taken 3 years, a hell of a lot of work, and let's be honest, a little bit of luck. But finally, the Seth the Sin YouTube channel has hit the big 1k, 1,000 subscribers, to quote my friends with Tech of Dreams, 1,000 friends. And to celebrate, I'll be telling you all my top 50 anime/manga, something I teased on Twitter like over a year ago now, but hey, I'm true to my word, so here we are. Now I could go on a long spiel about how thankful I am to everyone who ever watched one of my videos, and to all the amazing creators I've met over the last year, but let's be honest, that's not the most entertaining thing in the world, so why don't we get straight into the list. And to be clear, I've read a lot of anime and manga, and light novels, but not all of them, so just because something isn't on the list doesn't mean I don't like it. As well, this list will only include a very small fraction of all the series I've ever read/watched, and well, there's thousands more shows I haven't even experienced yet. Also, I won't be including standalone anime movies on this list, just as I judge movies and series on different merits, so I hope all that makes sense. And one last thing, sorry about the basic editing in this video, the reason being that first, this would be horrible to edit, and two, not all these series are copyright friendly, so I really don't have to upload this like 50 times to avoid claims, so sorry about that. But enough waffling, let's get on to number 50. Run with the Wind is probably the most inspirational sports anime I've ever seen, which says a lot considering how common the theme is in sports anime. But honestly, this show is so underrated, it has good characters, banging music, and a series of final episodes that are really just incredible. Being a runner myself, I probably am a bit biased with this show, but even so it is incredible how inspirational a show can be, something I explain in detail in this video here. But self-promo aside, it's a real moving show for me, and so that's why it makes it onto my top 50. DURARARA, first off, is incredibly written. As a writer myself, I can't even comprehend how you would go about tackling a story like DURARARA just on a technical level, as it's so well done with so many characters and storylines that all just coalesce into one amazing finale. Now, I love Bakano, like most people, but honestly for me, DURARARA is just Bakano but like 10 times better, almost like an improved version that takes out all my small complaints about Bakano and just makes an even greater story. DURARARA, just on a technical standpoint, is a story I love, but add in the quirky characters, the mystery aspect, and the emotional core of love, friendship and connection, and you just get a story I love. KAGUYA-SAMA Love is War is one of the best rom-coms I've ever seen. Season 2 especially really elevated the series above just another romance with its clever direction, hilarious comedy, and some real heart and depth to the series' characters. I really am a sucker for romance and also for stories focused on character growth and self-improvement. So yeah, I like this series a lot. Ishigami's arc in Season 2 especially is something I just adore, and I really hope that Season 3 is even better than Season 2. Fruits Basket is still currently airing its final season, but even without knowing the series' ending, this is an easy top 50 for me. As I just said, I love stories about personal growth and improvement, and that is what this show excels at. It's a show about real people overcoming their own personal struggles, exploring depression, love, identity, trauma and fear in such a beautiful but respectful way. HAIKYUU especially is such an outstanding antagonist due to their depth, complexity and how three-dimensional they are. As weird as it is to say, I'd say the thing I love most about the show is the melancholy of it all. Sure, there is sad parts, happy parts, tragic parts and heartfelt parts, but persisting throughout is a melancholy that for me only helps to show the fact that these are real people, something perfectly conveyed to me through the second season's first ED, one of my favourite anime EDs overall. Lucky Star is the quintessential moe, and it's one of the best. Lucky Star is another show I'd describe as melancholic, as in I can just watch it for like 2 hours and just have a good time. It's not heavy stuff, it's not even that funny in places, it's just fun to watch. Konata is one of my favourite anime characters, and it's not because she changes in her story, it's because I enjoy watching her and her melancholic life, as Lucky Star is just a fun and comforting piece of media, one I very much love. Devilman Crybaby on the other hand is anything but comforting and fun. It's a raw and visceral exploration of the human condition, of what it means to be human and what it means to be evil. Thematically, this show is almost a masterpiece, ending on a masterful climax that is to this day one of my favourite anime endings ever. I'm a great lover of thematics in the media I consume, and this show is chock full of them, while also telling a masterful story of tragedy and loss. Overlord is one of the most world-building heavy series I've ever seen. It's not Tolkien level, but I wouldn't say it's far off. The light novel is so tech-savvy with descriptions, explanations and tangents, and I just love it. The concept of NPCs becoming real people is just a concept I really gel with, and think it's one of the aspects of Overlord that keeps me most interested. At first I really struggled with my feelings on this show, and the reason for that was how at the time I hadn't come to realise that Ainz is a bad dude. I was still seeing him as a normal, good guy, and so I was appalled by his behaviour without understanding that he was anything but a normal guy now, and that he truly was evil in a way. So that's no slight on the show, that's just me misunderstanding, and now that I've come to realise this, my love for the show has only grown, and hey, we got another season coming out, and I believe a movie as well. Mob Psycho 100 is a real stellar piece of fiction, though I always find myself thinking I don't like it as much as I do, only to rewatch it and then go, yeah, this is great. Reagan is a top tier character, and he could very well carry the show. Not that he needs to, due to the amazing animation, the other great characters, and the top tier thematics. One of my favourite things in this series, and it's only a little thing, is the Body Improvement Club. The way they support Mob despite his physical ability and never judge him for that, how they always come to his rescue, as he is their friend, it just always sticks with me, and I think it really says a lot. Oh, and how could I also forget the episode where a girl pretends to date Mob for a dare? It might be my favourite episode in the whole series, just for that final scene of Mob revealing her powers to her. It really is incredible, and is just one of this show's many heartfelt moments that in my mind are even better than its action scenes. GURREN Lagann, another king of thematics, with one of the greatest characters in all of anime. Now, I will admit, I'm not as big a Trigger fan as some people I know, but I still love Trigger, and although I don't think GURREN Lagann is their best series, I would say it is the quintessential Trigger show. All the great things I want to say about GURREN Lagann are spoilers, I'll be honest, but okay, let's just say that Simon is amazing. Skate the Infinity is so goddamn good. Like, honestly, I almost didn't watch the show last season, but I'm so glad I did, as it blew me away. Soundtrack, animation, characters, all bangers, but dear lord, the thing that makes this a top 50 show for me is the antagonist. Adam, voiced by one of my all-time favourite voice actors, Takehito Koyashi. Like, he is such a good antagonist, one of my overall favourites in anime, and if you want to know why, just watch Skate. That time I reincarnated as a slime is nothing special, in that it's a very generic isekai, but it takes those generic tropes and makes them fun. It's not very complex, and besides Rimura, I personally say none of the characters are very deep, but that's okay, as it's just fun. It's a show I just can't get enough of, with the currently airing Slime Diaries being such a treat to watch, as it just fully commits to the slice of life aspect of slime, one of my favourite aspects of the entire series. So yeah, it's a top tier isekai and it's just fun to watch. Domestic Girlfriend is a show I know Pokesler is a big fan of, and much like with a lot of the shows so far, it's here for its themes. I think this is such a thematically deep show, and I know I'm weird for saying that, and it's a bit embarrassing I know, but first time I watched this series, I did so in one go, like all 2 episodes in one sitting, which is the first time I've done that for any series, so that just goes to show how much I enjoyed this show. But yeah, I understand why people don't like this show, I mean, incest, but I personally love it, and really want a season 2. Steins Gate is a series I really need to rewatch, as I feel it could be a lot higher on the list. That aside, it's still one of the best time travel stories ever made, with some, once again, real feeling characters. There's some real tragedy to this show, but also some real melancholy, and considering it's been like 3 years since I last watched it, I can't say much more, but if there is one thing I do remember, is that it was a banger. GRAPPLER BAKI has 2 real top tier animes, and a manga I really need to get around to reading. When it comes to martial arts animes, this is my go-to. It has such ridiculous and outlandish fights, moments and characters, some more fitting of a comedy series, but the way that the series treats these outlandish things so seriously is what gives Baki its identity. Yeah, there's a guy who killed a man by blowing his brains out for his ear, and yeah, that sounds dumb, but because it's taken completely seriously by the show and its characters, it's just so badass. Yes, I will admit the new series on Netflix does have some horrific CGI, but I can honestly look past that, as the story and characters are just that great. I'd say overall I prefer original Baki to the Netflix one, but both are incredible, with the Netflix show having what might be my favourite sex scene in any show ever. Like, if you've seen it, then you know what I mean. Kill la Kill is my favourite Trigger series, though as you've seen, Gurren Lagann ain't too far behind. Kill la Kill has a lot more lows to me than Gurren Lagann, with some very villain of the week feeling episodes early on, but these are easily made up for by the Trigger level animation, the godly soundtrack, and the pure hype around some of the endgame moments. To this day, episode 24 of Kill la Kill will still go down as one of my favourite anime episodes ever, and it's because of that one episode that Kill la Kill has made it this high on the list. Great Pretender is one of Freddie Mercury's best songs, and it also happens to be the ED for this stellar anime series. Great Pretender visually is eye candy, and plot-wise is also eye candy. Heists and scams are just things that make my mind spark with excitement, and this may well be the best depiction of cons and tricks in fiction, explored with some real interesting lovable characters and climaxing one of the best endings in anime. It's a real rollercoaster of a series, and one that's a must watch. Gabriel's Dropout has no right to be as good as it is. On the surface it's just a moe about a lazy angel and her friends, and in a way it is just that, but I don't know, there is just something about this show that is so enjoyable to me. Garb is one of my favourite anime protagonists, as she just gives off such a chill and bored gamer girl attitude that I can't help but fall in love with. Then you also got Santania and Best Girl Vignetta to add even more spice to an already flavourable dish. It's just a real good time, and sometimes that's all I need from an anime. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid was very close to being behind Gabriel's Dropout, but I just love it a tad more. They are both very similar shows in my mind, as they both give off the same fun energy that I really appreciate in my slice of life animes. I don't really have much more to say about Dragon Maid, as I like it for all the same reasons as Gabriel's Dropout, but I'll at least say that I am hyped for season 2. My Hero Academia used to be a top 5 series, and I'm kinda saddened it has dropped down this far. It's not that I think the series has gotten any worse, in fact I think the manga is currently the best it's ever been, but I just don't have the connection to the show that I used to have. It just doesn't resonate with me as strongly anymore, and that's really a shame. That said, I do still love the series. Yeah, not all its characters are well developed, but those that are godly. Endeavour, Jiro, Kirishima and Gentle all immediately jumping to mind. It has some real engaging and strong themes I appreciate a lot, and some real fun and quirky fight scenes. So yeah, I don't love My Hero as much as I did, but it's still my 32nd favourite series at the end of the day. Bungo Stray Dogs is a series I didn't like much for a long time, and that's because I'd only seen Season 1. And it's not that I think Season 1 is bad, just that until Season 2 came along, I didn't come to understand the series and its core message. Now on rewatch, Season 1 is amazing, it's just back then I had the wrong mindset. As small a detail as it is, I do love how the series names all its gifts after literature, and has even inspired me to read a few pieces of Japanese literature that I hadn't before. Dazai is amazing, I don't think I need to tell you that. So is Kyoka, Mori, Fyodor and Akutagawa, and so many more of the series' amazing characters. The plot and writing is also of note, and well, the basic story elements of unique powers, gangsters and criminal organisations is just right up my alley. Considering how good it is and how it already has 3 seasons, I really must say that Bungo is one of the most underrated animes ever, and that more people need to talk about it. Defrag is a comedy series which no one knows about, and that's really a crime. The anime, even if it's only 13 episodes, is gold, and the series only gets better past that with the manga. It's a very particular type of comedy, one I love, but I'm sure it's not for everyone. The series honestly is one of the funniest I've ever read, and way more people need to read it as it's hilarious. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is top tier. One of my favourite themes for fiction overall is the exploration of self-improvement and overcoming trauma and struggle. And well, that's what this series is all about. The show reminds me a lot of the number 1 spot on this list, which I won't spoil what it is, so of course I have a soft spot for it as a result. That aside, the emotion in this show is really moving, the movie especially having such a strong emotional climax that it's really hard for a piece of fiction to achieve. Overall, just a banging series with some real heart and some great music as well. Speaking of music, 28 is K-On! Now K-On! Is very much your average moe, however it never feels like that to me. It's a very different vibe that is just fun but relaxing. To steal the words of my friend Eddie Hates Anime, you just feel like one of the girls. And yeah, you do. The movie and that final episode in particular are just next level in terms of emotional payoff and elevate an already fun series to a real endearing one. Being a music anime, you would also expect good music, and yeah, K-On! Has it. Lots of it, in fact. It still just surprises me how short the show really is, as honestly, it feels like I've been watching those girls for years. Toradora is the go-to romance anime. I don't think any standard one girl, one boy romance animes are as good as Toradora, as it's pretty much a perfect romance. The characters are by no means shallow, each suffering from their own trauma, which they all have to overcome, and the situations they face are so real feeling and relatable that it really helps you to connect to the show and its characters. It's almost the perfect romance in my mind, and just does everything a good romance needs to do. Dragon Ball was the anime to get me into anime, so I will admit this may be a bit due to nostalgia, but even so I do think Dragon Ball is a top tier series. And yeah, I know most people don't think Dragon Ball is deep and that it doesn't have strong thematics, but I think it does, and so I like it for that reason. Thematics aside though, Dragon Ball is just hype. Like, I don't care how much hate the Tournament of Power gets, as somebody who's watched the whole arc in one sitting not once but twice, I can confidently say it's hype as hell. And Z, in my opinion, is even more so. Like in any other show, someone charging up an attack for 10 minutes would be bad and boring, but in Dragon Ball, to me, at least, it's just hype as can be. Vinland Saga is just raw, that's how I would describe it, and that's by all means a compliment. 4 Cool Askeladd, 4 and 4Finner, all characters I think are masterfully written, and the series' overall message of pacifism just speaks to me a lot and really made me fall in love with the series. Episode 4 and episode 24 especially were just incredible, and the beautiful animation by Wit is just that beautiful. It's my favourite historical anime, and I really don't see that changing anytime soon. Death Note is a series that lots of people love and hold in high regard, and I'm one of those people. The premise is just genius really, and lends itself to a thrilling mystery story with so many twists, turns and thematically rich scenes. The manga ending especially is just borderline perfect, and to all those anime onies out there, the second half of the story ain't bad, it's just a bit rushed in the anime compared to the manga. There, I've said my piece, Death Note is good. Assassination Classroom is one of my first animes, it might even be within the first 5, and so I do have a little nostalgia for this show. However, that doesn't mean it's bad by any means, in fact I think it's great. It may suffer a bit from having a very large main cast like My Hero does, but those characters that are developed do so a lot. There's a lot of fun comedy moments, some epic moments and some real tear jerkers. I mean, those who have seen the show, you know the scene I mean, but yeah, a solid show with some real heart and one of the best things to come out of Weekly Shonen Jump. MEDAKA books though is a slightly better thing to come out of Weekly Shonen Jump, and is a manga written by one of my all-time favourite authors ever, Nishio Ishin. And this series is amazing. The anime, how I wish it continued, as it stopped just before the best arc in the series, But yeah, we have the manga, so it ain't all bad. Kumagawa for one will go down as one of fiction's greatest antagonists, and Naze will go down as one of my favourite female characters ever. The series is really unlike any other. 1 minute a school comedy, 1 minute a battle shonen, and the next a satire of shonen as a whole. It's so cleverly written, with the usual Ishin flair, by which I mean the characters are godly, complex, and ooze with realism. It's such an underrated series that way more people need to read, and so if you haven't watched or read it, please do. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is number 1 on my anime list for a reason, that reason being the FMA stands get angry if anything overtakes it. But although I don't think it's that good, I can't deny that it really does everything right. Like, in terms of ticking boxes, the series does everything right. A good protag, fun supporting cast, interesting plot with lots of mysteries, amazing antagonists, shocking reveals, real deep and layered character growth, a climactic finale, sick music, and so much more. I don't like it as much as most people, but I can't deny how amazing it is. The whole show just flows so well, to the point I really don't have any complaints at all. It's just that good. Attack on Titan could change places massively depending on the ending, as I'm anime only, but for now, it's real good. It is a series I grow to like more with time, and has some real deep themes and messages that I am immensely curious to see brought to a conclusion. The mystery aspect of the series is really well done, with a real big payoff that I thought was handled rather well. I don't honestly have much more to say about Attack on Titan, but I do hope the ending is something I'll enjoy, as I've heard so many mixed opinions. Jujutsu Kaisen is my favourite new gen shonen by quite a mile. Now that may be in big part to how amazing the anime was on a technical standpoint with its gorgeous animation and music, but the story and characters are nothing to sneeze at either. I'm at the time of recording this video reading the manga, but I'm not caught up, so I am only ranking here based off the anime, but yeah, even on those 24 episodes it's a top 20 show easy, and I am so hyped for season 2. Code Geass is another one of those animes that most people have at least in their top 20, and there's a good reason for that. And no, I won't say it's the ending. Like, the ending is amazing, one of the best in anime, but the show is so much more than the ending. Like, and people talk about how amazing Lelouch is, how deep the character struggles are, the tragedy of the series, and the beautiful exploration of what it means to put your all on the line for your ideals. As the show is amazing, but there's more to it than just the bloody ending, people. Fate Zero is a masterpiece, I'd happily say that. Then why is it only number 17, you may ask? It's because the series just never really resonated with me. Like, obviously I love it, as it's thematically rich, its characters are deep and real feeling, its fights are insane, and its ending is legendary. But it just never hit a chord with me in the same way other series have, though if it did, I have a feeling it would easily make my top 10. Who knows, maybe on a rewatch it will rise up my rankings. 7 Deadly Sins. I know a lot of people won't be happy that this is above Fate Zero, Code Geass, FMA, and Attack on Titan, but this is my list, and this show speaks to me way more than any of those I just listed. It's my first manga after all, and will forever hold a special place in my heart. Its exploration of characters and their struggles is one of the best in the industry, and I will hold to that belief no matter what anyone says. Barn, Meliodas, Escanor, Gopher, Mel, Zeldris, King, Elaine, Besco, Jericho. The amount of characters in this series that I can only describe as outstanding is staggering. I don't think there is any show quite like Sins. A show which on the surface can be cool, epic and funny, but on deeper inspection can be so moving, tragic and emotionally rich. This series is incredible, and even if that ending arc was a bit weird, I can only look forward to the future of the franchise with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse sequel manga. Sket Dance is probably a series no one has heard of, and that's a crying shame. It's like Diet Gintama, that's genuinely the best way to describe it, and that's not an insult. Like, imagine Gintama being a school with a little less satire, and there you go, you got Sket Dance. And much like Gintama, this series has 2 types of arc, serious arcs and comedy arcs. And dear lord are these serious arcs amazing. Like damn, the sketch arc in particular is a whole nother level of good. Well, I think so at least. I don't think many people like Sket Dance as much as I do, and I may be weird for liking it so much. However, it's just a show that makes me happy, and there ain't anything wrong with that. The Disastrous Life of Saki K is up there for the funniest anime I've ever seen, and yeah, this series is here purely on the comedy aspect. Like, I don't think anyone is claiming Saki K's characters to be all that deep, because they aren't meant to be. They're just meant to be entertaining and fun, and goddamn they are. Monster is kind of underrated despite how much love it gets from those who have watched it. It probably has the single best OP when it comes to setting a tone for a show, and has Johan, you know, the guy that everyone says is one of the best anime antagonists. And I can't say they are wrong, though not enough people say the same about Tenma. He is honestly a top tier protagonist that way more people need to respect. It's a gripping mystery all the way through, with tense scenes, shocking scenes and real sad scenes. And you know what, I ain't afraid to say it, Monster's ending is better than Code Geass'. HAIKYUU is my go-to sports anime, as it just does everything a sports anime should do right. And any show that can keep me on the edge of my seat for 12 episodes straight over one game of volleyball is doing something right. I can't really point to any elements of the show that make me love it as much as I do, So all I can really say is that I go for runs in my full Krasno kit, and it feels like I am flying high. Parasite the Maximum just misses out on the top 10, and is again another of those series that those who have seen it love, but that not enough people overall have seen. In terms of horror anime, if you can call it that, it's the best in my eyes, and explores some real disturbing and messed up themes, but in a way that is oddly gripping and intriguing. The body horror and gore is animated to perfection, and the suspense some scenes create is thrilling. I know some people aren't too happy with the ending and how it is in a way open-ended, but I see it as quite profound, and might one day be the subject of a video. Before we enter the top 10, how about some honourable mentions? So first, the series that just missed out on the list are Horimiya, Tonikawa, Bleach, Angel Beats, Charlotte, Ao Bangaku, another series no one's ever watched, Violet Evergarden, Black Lagoon, Food Wars, and Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple. Next I want to mention a few of the current seasonals, which when finished may make into my top 50. First is Godzilla Singular Point, as is Godzilla. Second is Super Club, as it's so melancholic, I just love it. Third is Shadow's House, probably my favourite seasonal at the moment. I spent 300 years killing slimes to max out my level, as yeah, I know it's generic as all hell, but I really enjoy it, and the new episode every week is genuinely a highlight of my week. And fifth, maybe Combatants Have Been Dispatched, just as it's written by Akatsuki, and he's one of my favourite authors period. And lastly, I want to also give mention to Fairy Tail, Slam Dunk, Rurouni Kenshin, Dr. Greyman and Hitman Reborn, which are all long running series I've yet to start but imagine may break the top 50. So with those honourable mentions out the way, let's get on with the top 10. First up for the top 10 is One Punch Man. First off, the One Punch Man manga may be the most well-drawn manga I've ever read, giving Berserk and Blame a run for their money. But that said, I still love the webcomic, the thing that looks like this. As although it can be simple, the writing is effective and one is a master at his craft. There is a lot of deeper meaning to the series, and its characters aren't as two-dimensional as they first appear. King, Saitama, Garo and Moomin Ride in specific are all case studies in my mind for incredible characters, and the Monster Association arc, which will be wrapping up soonish in the manga, is one of my favourite arcs in manga, and again is a case study for an entertaining arc with an amazing finale. Not that you manga readers are quite there yet. Quintessential Quintuplets is my favourite romance anime, and I bet a lot of you are well confused about why a harem anime has made my top 10. But hear me out guys, Quints isn't a harem anime, it's a wholesome harem anime. And I'll be honest, I don't think this show is too deep, but I do just enjoy stuff because I enjoy stuff, and I really enjoy this show, as it's wholesome and kawaii. All 5 girls are best girl in my mind, even if Miku is the number 1 true best girl. And out of all the upcoming animes, Quint Season 3 might be the one I'm most anticipating, as damn I want to see more of this story, because it's my favourite romance anime. ReZero is called edgy by some, but I personally disagree. It's a story about growth, struggle and personal improvement, and is one of the most genuine emotional stories I've ever witnessed. Season 2 especially really elevates the series' focus on character exploration, and damn is a good exploration. I know a lot of people think the series is just about a guy dying a lot, but it really isn't. It's so much deeper than that, and blow for blow I think Subaru is one of the greatest MCs in fiction. ReZero really is just incredible, and I'm gonna leave it at that. 8 amazing parts, 8 stellar protagonists. JOJO'S is great. Look, everyone loves JOJO'S, and it's not hard to see why. It has such a unique feeling to it compared to other series, one that is just so JOJO'S. As a music buff, I can't help but love the barrage of music references, and as a fellow storyteller, I'm always blown away by how well structured and laid out Araki storylines are. Look, everyone knows JOJO'S, so I won't say much more, but let's all agree Stone Ocean's anime is going to be lit. One Piece is often thrown around as the best manga ever written, and I can't say I don't see where people are coming from. In terms of an epic, of a long-running adventure, it is unrivaled. The wealth of colourful characters, deeper meanings and emotional flashbacks are all aspects I love especially. Oda Sensei is a master at his craft, and the fact that this series has reached the heights that it has as a weekly manga, it really just astounds me to no end. The current Wano arc may well be my favourite arc in the series, and this just goes to show that Oda is always improving at his craft. It is still wildly approaching the end of the series, but when we do, I'm sure the ending will blow me out of the water. 5 is Berserk, and if you didn't know, recently the author of the series, Miura, has passed away. This has hit me, and a lot of people, very hard, and it is a truly saddening event. So I really must give my condolences to his family, and just hope that even after his death, we can all enjoy his amazing works, and appreciate what a great man he really was. Berserk is my favourite manga, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's a genuine artistic masterpiece, which ain't a word I throw around lightly. And I'm not afraid to say that even the 1997 anime would still make my top 10 even without the manga. Guts especially is a prime example of what writing a real feeling character should be. And that is true for a lot of Berserk's characters. The themes and symbolism are incredible and make me a thematic obsessed nut. Very happy. Yeah, if you don't like dark fantasy, you probably won't get much out of it, but I've never met anyone who's read Berserk and not loved it. so rest in peace Miura, and thanks for bringing us all such an incredible piece of fiction. Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World is the funniest piece of fiction I've ever experienced. Aside from the comedy, the series also has a heart and soul stronger than nearly anything I've ever seen. And although I love the light novels to death, I have to say that the anime blows them out of the water. With the exception of one series I'm yet to name, I think that the Konosuba anime has the most care and love put into it of any anime adaptation I've seen. They add even more heart to such an emotional series and make it even funnier than before. Studio Dean has outdone themselves with both seasons and the incredible Legend of Crimson. Konosuba, to me at least, is more than a comedy, it's an emotional character piece that I adore. When I'm feeling down, there are usually two series I'll watch to cheer myself up. First is episode 1 of Super Cub, but second is just a random episode of Konosuba, as that's all it takes to cheer me up. Megumin is my second favourite character in fiction, and Kazuma ain't far behind. I definitely understand why people may not like Konosuba as much as me, as I don't think many people have the same experience and connection to the show that I do. And that honestly makes me a little happy, as it just makes me feel that my connection to this wonderful series is even more special. Any long-time viewers will know that for the longest time Hunter was my favourite series ever, and for a very long time it stood proud at number 1. However, as of recent it has been dethroned, and I guess in a way that kind of lifted the weight off my shoulder, as Hunter's been my favourite for so long, I just couldn't bring myself to put anything above it. Then I saw my current number 1, and well after that I finally had the courage to not only move down Hunter from 1st to 2nd, but down to 3rd. Which I will explain in a bit. Anyway, Hunter is still in my top 3 and that's impressive as hell. Hunter is a series I love for many reasons. The plot, characters, fights, power system and music. But the one thing that I love more than any other is the themes. Hunter is a series that without thematics would still be good, but with them becomes an absolute powerhouse piece of fiction. Chimera Ant, the arc many call the best in anime without its strong thematics, just wouldn't be the same, and while considering how much I love my thematics, you may see why I love this show so much. It genuinely is just the show that works for me. It resonates with me more than any other battle shonen, and has some of my favourite moments in all of fiction. And the fact it held my number 1 spot for years is a real testament to just how much I love it. Gintama has been my number 2 for a long while, even while Hunter was my number 1, but surely that would mean it should now be my 3rd. Well, for a long time I've always entertained the idea of putting Gintama over Hunter, but never had the confidence to. But now Hunter isn't my number 1, I was brave and put Gintama ahead, which is a choice that took a lot of mettle. Gintama, much like Konosuba, is a series that emotionally resonates with me so strongly. Of course it has amazing action, hilarious comedy, stellar character writing and amazing music, but it's the heart of the series that I adore so much. There's just so much emotion to Gintama, be it happy, hype or sad, and the show does such a good job of conveying those feelings to the watcher. This show has genuinely changed my life with the lessons, heart and emotion it has conveyed to me. Gintoki is my favourite fictional character ever, and even if he is fictional, he's still a role model I look up to. Gintama is another of those shows I just can't really explain in words why I like it so much. But I like to think anyone who has watched my Gintama content has at least some kind of idea of just how much I love this series. And well, considering I am a Gintama YouTuber, you kind of would hope it's at least in my top 2. And so that said, I think you can already guess what my number 1 is, as well, what other series do I mainly cover on my channel? So if Hunter is praiseworthy for being my number 1 for years, then you know that Monogatari is worthy of even more after dethroning it. Monogatari is my favourite piece of fiction, which says a lot when I only just started it the tail end of last year. My favourite book series is Monogatari, my favourite movies are the Kizu Monogatari trilogy, my favourite anime is Monogatari, and maybe when I read the manga, Monogatari may be my favourite manga as well. When you love a series this amount, it's very hard to put into words why. So to quote Araki, I love everything about it, there's nothing about it I don't love. But if I had to put into words why I love it so much, it is probably because it ticks all my boxes. And I mean all my boxes. An amazing MC, a colourful and quirky cast, deep-rooted thematics, amazing direction, stellar music, countless heartfelt moments, stories of overcoming struggles and growing as people, mysteries, philosophy, supernatural elements, ethical discussions, best girls, romance and a terrific ending. I know I said this about Hunter, but I don't think any series will ever come close to Monogatari for me. If Hunter is a 10, this is genuinely an 11. It's a step up from all other fiction to me, as this show really has become just so special to me. And all this shows is that time isn't necessary for love to bloom, even in a short span of time you can fall in love, and that's what I did with Monogatari. So there you go, who knows how many minutes later we have reached the end of the video. What a pain the script was to write, but hey, I suffer so you can enjoy, isn't that what it means to be a YouTuber? If any of you are still around or any of you have skipped ahead, then hello, and a warning, I'm about to spew all my sappy thank yous, so if you don't care for that, then thanks for watching and have a nice day. But for those sticking around, I just want to say the biggest arigato gozaimasu. You have genuinely made a dream come true for me. And remember that without even a single one of you guys, I would not be at 1k, as this is as much your guys' achievement as it is mine. And I hope you will continue to support me in the future. Also, I want to say a big thank you to all the fellow content creators who have supported me over the years: Ironclad, your boy Triton, Attack of Dreams, Pokesal, Annie Essays, Masked Man, Six Atoms, Eddie Hates Anime, Hero Thinker, Siren, just to name a few. This is such a wonderful community and I'm so glad to be a part of it. But 1k isn't the end of the road, not at all. Next up is 1001, as no matter how many subscribers you get, the value of a single sub will never change, as every sub is one person's support. And is there anything worth more than that? So thank you viewer for helping me reach this milestone, and if you're still watching at this point, why not drop a comment? I read every single one and try to reply to as many as possible. Let's have a chat. Anyway, see you all next Monday, and as always, I've been at Seth the Sin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I am signing out. Stay safe, everyone.